Hey guys, welcome to the Touchdown Table. I'm Ryan. That's Tyler. That's Jordan.
And today we're going to be doing a NFL 100 season recap. And unfortunately, the NFL 100 season has come to an end.
Too fast.
Very sad. But we're here to just talk about the coolest things and why we thought the NFL season was especially special. And I think, obviously, the Super Bowl just happened a couple of days ago as you guys are seeing this. But we're going to get to that in a moment. But really what captivated everyone this year was the Baltimore Ravens throughout the entire year. And Lamar Jackson starting to really take the reins of the new quarterback in the NFL and trying to change that position. We saw he won MVP. Obviously, if you didn't know, I don't know what you're doing. But what they done with that and the big trust moment, there's been so many cool things that happened with that team just alone.
Yeah, there's a lot of personalities on that team. It really starts with Mark Ingram. He's a really big personality on that team. He is the big trust guy, so he kind of started it all off. They're just a team that is very willing to communicate with each other, and they're very willing to have fun. That's the thing I like about Lamar Jackson. Whenever he's playing, it just looks like he's having fun. And if you're watching a quarterback who is a leader, you want them to be having fun. If they're nervous the whole time and not being able to make their players smile and motivate them to really play, then it's just you're not going to be able to win. Lamar Jackson has been very good at doing that, along with some of his teammates like Mark Ingram, and they're even getting Justin Tucker, the kicker, into it as well on the big trust.
It's very large trust with him.
Yeah, but he also went to an interview and said big trust.
Yeah, there you go.
So a lot of personalities on that team that are very cool and make it very special. And just a lot of talent in general. What was it, 11 Pro Bowlers or something?
It was a lot. I mean,
crazy.
Basically the Ravens versus the NFC. So, but one thing I want to add on, this team, they started out 2-2, and then they won out. So really, this team was hot for a long time. And yeah, say what you want about the one and done in the playoffs, but how you guys have mentioned it with Lamar Jackson revolutionizing the quarterback position. All those guys taken in front of him in 2018. He barely makes it into the first round. And yes, they didn't ultimately make it happen in the playoffs. But you just look at the regular season. This team's got potential for years to come.
Yeah, and staying with the quarterback position this year, I feel like years from now we could look back on this and kind of think of this as the year of the backup quarterback.
Yes.
Plenty of backups that were able to come into the games and win some games.
Mm-hmm. A lot of them.
Yeah, I honestly can't name them all off the top of my head just because there were so many, but some of them I think you have Gardner Minshew, Ryan Tannehill. Those are the two that just popped in my head.
Bridgewater?
Very quickly. Bridgewater is definitely one of them.
Kyle Allen.
For a little bit, yeah. Then that kind of fell off.
Yeah.
Didn't Brandon Allen with the Broncos? Didn't he win his first start?
Yeah. Did you say Gardner Minshew?
I did say Gardner Minshew. And I'm sure there's others that we're missing because there were so many of them this year. You could talk about the Lions with their quarterback situation too. They had
that was interesting.
Blau and I'm blanking on the other guy's
Jeff
name.
Driscoll.
Jeff Driscoll.
Come on.
Yes. But a lot of backup quarterbacks in the league. It just goes to show that you trust your number one guy, but you got to have that number two guy that you trust enough that knows the playbook, that is constantly, getting those reps every single week. And they shouldn't be getting the number one reps every single week. That should be the starter. But it's good to have the backup guy who's able to do good, like the Saints did with Teddy Bridgewater, who this year, by the way, he's going to free agency. Who knows if they're going to want to sign him back? Who knows what's going to happen with Drew Brees in general? So that could dictate it. But either way, Teddy Bridgewater, a huge name, going to free agency, someone that people are going to want to sign. But he was able to step in and just get some wins for that team. It's important at the backup quarterback position. And before this year, you kind of look at backup QBs and just say, they get paid a lot of money just to sit there and be on a football team and they watch their people play for them. But they got in there and played this year, and I'm sure they'll want to play. I really hope they should want to play because that's why they're there and they love football. So it was cool to see them play this year, and there's just a lot of stories behind it. Also, we didn't mention the Steelers. Ben Roethlisberger.
I was just going to say that.
There you go.
In my mind. Yeah, and I think it's just cool to see how they were able to, go 8-8, finish more than respectable for their situation after all the drama last year. Now you got all these injuries in the quarterback room, so I think that says a lot about Mike Tomlin and that team. They were in it until Week 17, just ran out of gas at the end. But, again, that's another team that really handled their quarterback situation well.
Yeah, it is. And we just covered a lot based off the quarterback position. But to stay with the quarterback position really quickly and then move on one more time, There's a couple records that we see all broken and a couple really cool things that happens, and that really starts with the Saints team, to be honest, because
Yeah.
they had a record-breaking season. Drew Brees was able to get the most touchdown passes, that record, and then Michael Thomas had the most receptions in the league,
It was 149.
149, and he actually beat it by a pretty good margin. That was a record that people thought, oh, there's no way that's ever going to get broken, because that was a tough feat to accomplish, and what those two did was really extraordinary.
Mm-hmm.
There's really not much to it, other than just saying that. But also, now we can look at fantasy wise, because that's important as fans of the games and as fantasy players. First off, I'd just like to give a mention to Jordan for winning our fantasy league. He actually had Michael Thomas, the reception leader, all time in a single season. But just some guys that we could mention. I'll let you guys do this as well. But the one guy that stands out to me fantasy wise is Christian McCaffrey.
Well, and we already talked about this guy, but Lamar Jackson had a huge fantasy year as well. But especially in PPR leagues, Christian McCaffrey did very well. You talked about Michael Thomas. He did well, too. Those are kind of the main guys. I guess Saquon got it going at the end there. I picked him first overall.
Yeah.
I was frustrated for a while, but he started doing good at the end when it really counted.
Yeah. When it hurt their draft position.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, but that you guys said it. I think didn't McCaffrey win like Fantasy Player of the Year or something?
I think he
Yeah,
did.
he
Yeah.
did.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think he did, especially for the first half of the
I
season.
know they had that award though.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
cool.
that's
Yeah,
I
it's
think
cool.
that's a new one.
Yeah.
I don't remember that from before. I could be wrong, but I just don't recall that ever happening.
Mm-hmm.
So there's other things as well that we could continue to mention. If you guys have any ideas, I can keep rolling off my mind. But if you guys have anything, feel free to say it.
I was thinking about this earlier, so I guess I'll just mention it. One of the games that I liked, or the two games that I liked, between the two teams, just two games to point out for this season. That just that was weird. I just couldn't get the out correctly. But, the same two teams. We saw one of them in the Super Bowl in the 49ers, and the other one who had the MVP runner-up in Russell Wilson. The matchups between the Seahawks and the 49ers were very good. I went back and watched the highlights of the first game because I remember the second game. I didn't remember the first game as much. I just went back and watched how crazy it was, how it went to overtime, how it went back and forth, and it looked like the Seahawks, I believe, were going to win. Then Wilson threw a pick, and then whatever happened got down to the end, and there was a missed field goal by Chase McLaughlin that was shanked badly. It was just a very intense game, and that was also the first loss for the 49ers, who went 9-0, I believe it was.
I think it was 8.
It was 8.
I'll double check.
Yeah. But so that was a very important game and a very fun game. And then the other one was Week 17, which got the Niners the number one overall bye
Spot.
Seed.
Seed. Bye. And that one came down to the last play with
they were 8-0.
They were 8-0.
Yeah.
Blanking out his name, but there was a tight end who couldn't reach it all the way in.
Was it Hollister?
It was Hollister.
Yeah,
Yes.
Hollister.
So that was a very intense game as well, and a very important game. So also divisional games.
Yeah.
So that was just one of the highlights of this season for me was those two matchups. It was just fun to watch those ones, and it was fun to watch the NFC West. It was very interesting because you thought the Rams were going to be good, but the Rams they went to the Super Bowl last year, but they disappointed this year. And then the Niners, they went 3-13 last year, whatever, something like that.
Around that. They ended up 4-12. No, was it 3-13 or 4? They were bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Either way, they ended up in the Super Bowl. We're not able to finish it off, but still, they came out of nowhere. Even those people were expecting them to do good. Some people were. And the Seahawks, they're kind of just the Seahawks. And the Cardinals, they're starting to rebuild their team right now. So it should be an interesting thing. I don't want to rant about this too much, but I mentioned the Cardinals, and me and Brian are very much on the same side of this.
Okay.
I think a lot of
Kyler
the
Murray,
world is about what you're about to say.
Kyler Murray won the
No
Offensive
disrespect on
Rookie
my
of the
regard.
Year.
These two
Hey.
disrespect.
It's not that I disrespect him that much. That it's just that he does not deserve this
It's-
award.
The award was disrespected against the AJ Brown.
Yeah, this was a two-player race between AJ Brown and Josh Jacobs.
If you are a fan of our channel, you go back and we did a video where they were debating against each other.
Which I
And
should
one of
have
the
won.
one of the questions was who was going to win Offensive Rookie of the Year.
So,
Was it AJ Brown or was it Josh Jacobs? Kyler Murray was nowhere in that discussion, and he just came out of nowhere and won. But so that was
Yeah.
interesting. And I'll just continue talking about the awards for a second.
There were some they really messed up on.
The other one that you mentioned to us was John Harbaugh won Coach of
I
the
like
Year.
it.
Mhm.
He was a very good coach this year, but you guys wanted Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah, and I thought Kyle Shanahan, even though what we saw in the Super Bowl, we'll touch on that in a second, with the play calling, but I just thought more of the Ravens' success was because of Greg Roman and the offense that he was able to put around Lamar Jackson,
Yeah.
and that's what NFL teams need to learn. You build your offense around the quarterback. Don't put a quarterback into your offense and expect them to know what to do.
Yeah.
Quarterbacks have skills that they have to focus on, and you have to build an offense around them, and I think we're going to see that in the next 100 years of the NFL.
Yeah. And I really think that Coach of the Year, you really only have arguments for Kyle Shanahan or Mike Vrabel. And honestly, I almost might lean Mike Vrabel just in the way you saw how much he resonated with his players. You saw him out on the field warming up with his players like he was the players. I think it was either him or Shanahan. I still don't even know who I would pick right now, even though the awards already happened. But I just really don't see, especially with the one and done in the playoffs, how John Harbaugh could win it. No disrespect, 14-2. I'll give you your credit where your credit's due, John Harbaugh. But I just don't think that he was the right pick.
Yeah, and to hit on 2-1, you just mentioned the Titans. We could talk about the Titans' run, and we can also talk about the Patriots not being in the Super Bowl this time around.
Just before that,
Which
I
we
want
want
to
to-
cover something real quick. I talked about the Seahawks and 49ers game. I just wanted to cover two other games that I thought were really good. I might be missing some, but one of them was the Saints 49ers game. Where
That
George
was
Kittle
crazy.
Had that huge run. They just bulldozed through all those defenders, and they were
That's
able
what George
to
Kittle
set up
does.
a win. And then the other one was the Ravens 49ers game, which some people thought was a Super Bowl preview. But the Ravens were not able to get there. The Niners were. They just couldn't finish it off, as we said before. Sorry if you're a 49ers fan. I've said that twice already. I'm just going to keep reminding you because it's just what happened. But that was also a good game as well. So
Yeah, well, now let's touch on the Titans a little bit more first because they had an extraordinary run at the beginning of the season. These two and myself, but especially these two, thought the Titans were going to be very bad.
I honestly looked when I was looking at this schedule, and I think we probably did a deep dive on it or something before the season. I think whatever it was, maybe we didn't, but
We talked
looked at
about
the
it.
schedule, and I wasn't even sure if they were going to get 8 wins. I honestly thought this team
I
could
might
have
have
gone
given
0-16.
Yeah, and they really did impress, and they almost made it to the Super Bowl.
Mhm.
And you look at this team, like, they did this with Ryan Tannehill, and this kind of goes back to my argument for Mike Vrabel for Coach of the Year, or at least being in contention. Mike Vrabel made that move to bench Mariota,
that's tough
second
to do.
overall. That's not easy to do,
Mhm.
and especially to make it work. But Mike Vrabel did just that. He was able to do this with Ryan Tannehill, not the flashy MVP Lamar Jackson. He was able to do this with Ryan Tannehill. They started, what was it, 2-4, so then they had to go 7-3 in their final 10 games. They did that. They beat some good teams, won some games by pretty decisive margins. Then you get in the playoffs, and then you say, oh yeah, nice run, but then you got the Patriots at Jet Stadium. There's no way you could beat them, not with Ryan Tannehill. They beat them. Then you say, okay, but they're not beating the Ravens, not with MVP Lamar. Like, come on. And then they do that, and then, well, they didn't beat the Chiefs, but the Chiefs were a different animal this year. But I just think that goes to show how well coached this team was, and even though many of us expected,
Indeed.
and us at the table expected this team to go maybe 4-12 at best, or at least I did. I don't remember my exact predictions, but yeah, they were just really well coached, and they found the way that they can win games. That's how they got to the AFC title game.
Yeah, you just said it. They found the way they can win games. There were games where Ryan Tannehill was looking great. He went to the Pro Bowl because I think that there were guys that could have deserved it over him, specifically Josh Allen, but he did go to the Pro Bowl, and there were games where he was lighting up, he was running himself, he was throwing the ball very well, and there were other games where it was just the Derrick Henry show, especially in the playoffs. So Faber was able to find that balance between those two things. Unfortunately for the Titans, they were not able to finish off against the Chiefs and find that balance because it just seemed like they couldn't figure it out. But the Chiefs were able to stop the run game in that game and in the Super Bowl for a while as well, although there were some good runs by the Niners in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I just gotta say something really quick about the Titans. I scrolled up to find my old predictions. I picked Tennessee to go 3-13 this year, last in the division. So again, shout out to you, Tennessee, and Mike Vrabel for just proving me wrong.
Yeah, and as they went on that run, you can say what you want, is the Patriots dynasty over? We'll find that out more. Tom Brady going into the offseason, could he be leaving? Is he staying? We don't know, but that's going to be something to watch for. And before we hit on the Super Bowl, which is important, talking about that, because we do want to mention that briefly. I feel like we got to mention the Dolphins in here
Oh yes.
as well because they were supposed to be so historically bad, and they actually won a good amount of games. And before we talk about the Dolphins, I don't want to forget, you can get mentioned for being bad, and that's exactly what I'm going to do with the Bengals. It looked like they could be going 0-16 at one point, but actually ended up winning.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And that's a quick mention. Also, that was a huge topic for this year. The NFC East was a huge topic.
Yes.
Based on
NFC least.
NFC least, especially with the Cowboys and the Eagles fighting it out when they didn't have big records or good records, I guess you could say. So that was a huge storyline of this year. And Tyler mentioned it. He talked about Tom Brady. Did that commercial mean that he is? I mean, he's.
I think he was saying he's staying in the NFL. He hasn't said where he's
And also,
staying.
I think he's staying in New England. I'm not buying it.
I don't think that's what he was saying. I think in that video he was saying he's just going to be playing.
Well, he said, I'm not
but we can
going
speculate all we want, and I'm sure we'll make videos about it.
But Hulu doesn't just have live sports.
That was so awesome.
Yeah, that was probably one of my favorite commercials.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite moments of the Super Bowl in general.
Yeah.
So.
And how they show everyone there at the beginning. I think it's awesome that they're still able to go and have fun with the Super Bowl even when they're not in it.
Yeah.
That's the side note.
All right, let's talk about the Super Bowl now. We have the Niners and the Chiefs. I picked the Niners and the Chiefs won, but I'm not really upset that I was wrong. I was happy to be wrong because I liked what this Chiefs team had done all year. We saw what they did against the Texans when down 24 they came back. We saw what they did against the Titans down 10 and they came back. And then in the third quarter, I said this, or in the fourth quarter, sorry, when they were down 10, I said, oh no, here we go. They're going to do it again, aren't they? And I got nervous, and then they came out and did it. Andy Reid got his first Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes could be one of many, and we could be starting to see something really good, really great for a long time in Kansas City.
Next dynasty, maybe? I mean, with this core, it's very possible.
It is, but the only problem with the dynasty part of that is Patrick Mahomes is about to get paid a lot of money, and I don't know if they're gonna have much cap space for other players.
Good point.
Well,
but I don't think that matters with Patrick Mahomes on your team. He's just that good.
Yeah.
The thing, like with Tom Brady, he'd be willing to take pay cuts to stay in New England, which is the reason because he loves New England so much. Yeah. And
Mahomes shouldn't take pay cuts.
No.
He's on another
level.
He
seriously might. He's probably gonna break the record. He's probably gonna become the highest paid player.
So Mahomes does love. He loves Kansas City. He probably wants to stay there very much. In fact,
but he won a Super Bowl. Now he doesn't have to take a pay cut just to win one.
You didn't.
You know?
I was trying to. I wasn't. Yeah. I was going on to something else. But there's. I don't remember where I saw this, or what. It might have been one of you guys who told me. But Patrick Mahomes, he went to a pizza place in Kansas City, and obviously being Patrick Mahomes with him and his girlfriend, he went there. Obviously being Patrick Mahomes, everyone knew who he was, but nobody came up to him and asked him to take a picture. So the whole night, he was just eating there, and then no one, as he got out to leave, nobody said anything to him. And right as he was about to walk out the door, he turned around and just, everyone was looking at him because he's Patrick Mahomes, and he just said, "Hey, thank you guys for letting us enjoy a meal together. This is why I love Kansas City." And then later that night, everyone who was there realized that Pat had paid for all their meals. So that's just really cool.
Gotta love it.
I did not know that story. That was cool. I mean, a lot of great guys on both of those teams. At the same time, you were happy for the Chiefs, but then you saw the upset Niners players.
Yeah.
And you're like,
this is like the first Super Bowl where, because I'm usually like kind of evil towards who I want to win the Super Bowl for most of the time.
Me too.
But this is the first time I wouldn't have wanted the Niners to win the Super Bowl just because I picked the Chiefs, and when I pick a team, I root for them to win. Per se, but
give it to them hard to win.
Yeah, but this was the first time where I was able, after the game, I was able to watch and say, like, there was a moment where it was George Kittle on the screen, and then there was a moment with it was Deebo Samuel and Mecole Hardman, which was pretty cool. The two rookies. Yeah. That one was like, oh, I feel kind of bad for him, but also you got to win.
That's got to be the worst environment in the world to go back in the locker room after losing a Super Bowl.
What do you even say? What do you do? Like,
I don't know.
Yeah, but,
we could talk about Kyle Shanahan's play calling in the second half with the running. You could talk about how in the Super Bowl with the Falcons, when he was there, he didn't do the same thing, and the mistakes repeated. But I don't
think it was much on Kyle Shanahan in the second half. I think it was more on the Chiefs playing.
I agree with you. I believe that Kyle Shanahan does deserve some criticism, and he should have stuck with the run game because it was working in the fourth quarter. And Tyrann Mathieu said, "Thank God they didn't keep running it." He said that himself because the time would have ran off the clock, and it would not have been enough time for Patrick Mahomes to come back. But Chiefs, they're the most resilient team in the NFL.
They certainly are. And one quick thing I want to add about Kansas City is the way that they actually ran the football really well. Personally, I think Damian Williams should have been the MVP of that
Yeah,
game.
I
I'm a huge Patrick Mahomes fan just with those 2 interceptions. I just think Damian Williams, because he had 3 touchdowns, right? Didn't he? He had the
2 or 3.
2 or
It
3,
was
yeah.
I
2.
think he had 2.
And he had the game sealing one, or did he have their first one? I don't know. But
No, Mahomes ran it in.
The
Mahomes ran
game
it
one
in.
was the Damian Williams run, and then
Yeah.
the one that the controversial one, which I think.
Oh wait, no, it was a pass to Damian Williams was the game stealing, like the one that
Yeah.
won the game, but then there was the
Oh,
stealing
that was-
one with the run.
But yeah, that was the one that got them up, and then
Yeah.
he also ran it.
I think that, yeah. But I think the thing is that I was heading into this game, I was thinking, okay, the Chiefs, they have a nice little committee, but they don't really have a true running back number 1. They probably need to draft a running back or target a running back just to, kind of find that number 1 guy. But after the Super Bowl, I'm beginning to second guess myself. Maybe Damian Williams is that running back number 1 of the future.
I wouldn't be surprised if they did try to go out and get someone in free agency
Still
or the
could,
draft.
but
But
Yeah.
yeah, he played good.
So the entire NFL season was a great one. The 100th season lived up to the expectations.
Yeah, and we could talk about this for a long time. It was a great season. We don't have enough time to talk about everything, or else
Yeah.
we would try to, but we just can't. We try to highlight some things.
Yeah, we don't want to bore you too much. We touched on a couple
We don't bore
teams, a
you.
couple moments. Yeah, hope we don't bore you. But also, as the NFL commercial said, here's to the next 100. That was a really
Yep,
cool commercial.
that was.
A really cool way to cap up the season. Thank you guys for watching this video. Also, by the way, thank you guys for this entire season sticking
Yep.
with us.
Absolutely.
Um,
Thank you guys.
we
Full
really
NFL
appreciate it. It's
season
the
on this
first
channel.
full NFL season with the touchdown table. I won.
Now we get to get our
wanted
full,
to mention
first
that.
full off season.
Yeah,
for the
it's
NFL.
draft season
Yeah,
now.
it's draft time. Hope you guys are ready for
There's
that.
always something
Hope
to
you
look
guys
forward to
enjoyed
here.
this video. Yep. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment down below, hit the notification bell. And with all that, we'll see you guys later.
See ya.